Dear friends, welcome to another episode. In this video, we will talk about the statements of Evgeny Prigozhin of the Wagner Group of mercenaries, who gave a very different version of the Russian army's actions in Ukraine. On June 10th, with the Ukrainian offensive approaching its first week, the Belarusian dictator Alexander Lukashenko said in an interview that during those few days, the Ukrainians had suffered 140,000 casualties. The next day, Vladimir Putin, without citing figures, said that up to 30% of all Western weapons, vehicles, equipment and armor delivered to Ukraine had been destroyed by Russia in less than a week. On Wednesday, June 21st, Putin finally revealed some figures, stating that close to 1,000 Ukrainian vehicles had been destroyed in the offensive that began on the 4th, of which about 260 armored vehicles, most of them, according to Putin, of Western origin. On Thursday, June 22nd, during a virtual meeting with his general staff and Russia's Security Council, Putin heard from Nikolai Patrushev, Secretary of the Council, that the Ukrainians have not lost 140,000 soldiers after all, but 13,000. General Shoigu, the Russian defense minister, confirmed the advanced figure, further saying that everything is going well for Russia and that the Ukrainians are accumulating so many losses and so many casualties that they were forced to pause their offensive. An information that was reinforced a few hours later by Putin himself, who said that the situation on the front was calm because of the heavy Ukrainian casualties in 2 weeks of the offensive. For those who heard only the Russian statements, the Ukrainian offensive was a complete failure, with the heavy casualties leaving them without the strength to advance. However, this Friday, June 23rd, early this morning, some videos surfaced of Yevgeny Prigozhin, the owner of the Wagner Group of mercenaries, the unit responsible for destroying and conquering the ruins of the city of Bakhmut after 9 months of fighting. Videos in which he appears give a very different version of everything that happened and everything that is happening now in Ukraine. Those who follow the channel know very well that Prigozhin's relationship with the Russian general staff is not one of the best. For months, Prigozhin accused Russian Defense Minister Shoigu and Russian Chief of Staff Gerasimov of conspiring against his group of mercenaries, delaying the shipment of munitions, and preventing a continuous and secure flow of supplies. Prigozhin even made direct threats, especially against Shoigu, after the conquest of the ruins of Bakhmut. He has withdrawn his mercenaries from the front and reduced the size of his group by laying off thousands of inmates he had recruited a few months earlier. But he remains attentive to the unfolding war, making a point of telling details of what is really happening. In the video released today, Prigozhin begins by refuting an argument that Russia has been repeating for years, that Ukraine has been bombing civilians in Donbass since March 2014, when Putin started a separatist war there. It is important to remember that Prigozhin's Wagner Group was created in 2014, precisely in Donbass, to train Ukrainian separatists. Therefore, Prigozhin was indeed one of those directly responsible for that war, and so he knows very well what he is talking about. According to him, after 2014, the most heated phase of that war, exchanges of fire were limited and concentrated at only a few points on the front line, and that very rarely were towns in the Donbass, under occupation by separatist forces, hit in a concentrated and direct manner. Next, Prigozhin told what he saw when he returned to Ukraine in March 2022 at Vladimir Putin's request. The first thing he noticed was that Russian commanders did not inform their superiors of the number of casualties. In response to his inquiry, he said that the Russian commanders on the ground said that no one had any interest in this, and that after the war, they would count the dead. He also mentioned that there was no coordination and management in the field, and that orders were passed in a hysterical manner, saying further that no matter how many casualties there were, every day commanders had to report in advance of at least 50 meters. Something Prigozhin was keen to point out is that as soon as he arrived in the Ukraine, just 2 weeks after the invasion began, it was already clear to all commanders on the ground that victory, as had been imagined by Putin, Gerasimov, and Shoigu, was impossible, given the limited number of Russian troops and equipment sent to war, and especially because of the strong Ukrainian defense. Regarding specifically the Ukrainian offensive that began on June 4th, Prigozhin said that everyone is lying to Putin. The owner of the Wagner Group says that the Russian army is being pushed back by the Ukrainian army, which is managing to infiltrate more and more of the Russian defenses with each passing day, including in Bakhmut, the region that he and his group destroyed and conquered. As for the lies, Prigozhin said that the Russian general staff is drunk with screams and hysterically demands that the lost positions be retaken, and the commanders on the ground, faced with impossible demands, lie, saying that yes, they have retaken the positions, drawing imaginary lines on maps a few kilometers further north than where they really are, just to silence the demands coming from their superiors. In the end, Prigozhin again referred to Russian casualties, saying that it is impossible to determine exactly how many Russians have died recently. Prigozhin admitted that his Wagner group lost more than 20,000 Russians in Bakhmut alone, but he said that in the Russian armed forces, commanders unfortunately classify their losses as missing in action, a way he said unit commanders have found to avoid being too pressured when they submit their casualty reports. In the end, Prigozhin said that time is running out for Russia. Prigozhin's voluntary statement clashes head-on with the statement given by the military commanders to Vladimir Putin. Whether the truth is being told by the commanders, who in Prigozhin's words are only fattening themselves up and collecting medals in their mahogany offices in Moscow, or whether the truth is being told by those who fought in Ukraine for 14 months, only time will tell. Thank you to everyone who followed this video about the war in Ukraine. Your dedication to seeking information and understanding the challenges faced by Ukrainians is very valuable. We hope you found this content informative and enlightening. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave your like, share it with others, and subscribe to our channel to receive more updates on the war in Ukraine. Thank you for being part of our community and for your continued support. Together, we can raise awareness about this important issue and contribute to a more informed world. Until the next video.